In the aftermath of the brutal Pahalgam terrorist attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir, a chilling revelation has come to light, not from an intelligence agency, not from a secret dossier, but from a man who was once just a 14-year-old boy growing up in Pakistan. Meet Harris Sultan, an ex-Muslim atheist YouTuber, the man behind the channel Jaish-e-Mohammed, a fierce critic of religious extremism and state-sponsored terrorism. In a recent video, Harris broke his silence on a childhood memory that exposes the deep-rooted nexus between the Pakistani military and terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba. Harris's account is not just a personal anecdote. It is a first-hand testimony of how terror is cultivated, with full military support within Pakistan's borders. It was 1999. Harris was just 14. He was living a modest life in Pakistan with his family. One day, a Maulvi, a religious cleric and family friend, approached Harris's father with an offer, an exciting trip to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. It seemed like the perfect opportunity. Harris had never been to Kashmir, and the idea of visiting the scenic valley brought excitement to both father and son. They immediately agreed. But what awaited them in Kashmir was not tranquility, it was terror. Upon reaching the destination, Harris and his father were shocked. Instead of a vacation, they found themselves in the middle of a Lashkar-e-Taiba recruitment camp. There were dozens of young boys, mostly from impoverished backgrounds, uneducated, vulnerable. Then came the moment of horror. A military helicopter landed. From it emerged Hafiz Saeed, the founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba, a UN-designated terrorist, the mastermind of the 2008 Mumbai attacks, and one of the most wanted terrorists globally. And what did he do? Hafiz Saeed pulled out a rocket launcher, placed it on his shoulder, and fired it, just to impress the kids. Yes, a terrorist, firing weapons, with full protection of the Pakistani military, in front of children. Then came the speech. Hafiz Saeed mocked the Pakistani army for surrendering more than 90,000 soldiers to India during the 1971 war. He claimed that only Lashkar-e-Taiba could defeat India. He called for religious war, glorified violence, and ridiculed those who didn't take up arms. And who stood by, silently watching? The Pakistani military. As the brainwashing continued, a Lashkar-e-Taiba Maulvi went around with a form in his hand, asking the boys to sign up. It was Harris's turn. But his father, a man of reason, education, and integrity, quickly intervened. He told them that Harris was too young and still had to complete his education. That small decision, that moment of resistance, saved Harris's life. He would later say, "If my father had been a jihadist type, my story would have ended in 1999 itself." Fast forward to today. After India's Operation Sindoor, there are credible reports that Hafiz Saeed's security has been increased fourfold. He now resides in a densely populated area of Lahore, with all roads to his residence closed off by the military. Ironically, the same man who ridiculed the Pakistani army is now being protected by it, as if he were a national treasure. And that's not all. After Operation Sindoor, images emerged of senior Pakistani army and police officials attending funerals of slain terrorists. The funeral prayers were led by Hafiz Abdul Rauf, another US-designated terrorist. Ask yourself, what kind of country gives state honors to terrorists? What kind of legacy are you building for the next generation? And here comes the big question. The elephant in the room. Where is the West in all this? The same West that criticized India for buying oil from Russia during sanctions. The same West that preaches ethics and morality on global stages. Where is this moral compass when it comes to decades of support to Pakistan's military dictatorship? Why has the nexus between Pakistani military and terrorism been tolerated for so long? Is the West blind, or is it willfully ignorant to protect its strategic interests and arms deals? In India, they say karma is a bitch. Sooner or later, it will come back to bite you. And come it will. The terrorists Pakistan has nurtured won't stop at India's borders. They will come for everyone, even those who once shook hands with them behind closed doors. And they did. Not many might know this, but a big part of the fund used in the 9/11 attacks came from a kidnapping of a businessman in India's Kolkata. And can you guess who was behind this kidnapping? Yes. It was the same Lashkar-e-Taiba of Hafiz Saeed which the West had been turning a blind eye to. Thanks to voices like Harris Sultan, we are now getting a clearer picture of how deep the rot runs inside Pakistan's power structures. This is not just a story about India and Pakistan. It's a story about truth and hypocrisy, about terror and protection, about right versus wrong, about moral versus immoral. You can watch the full video by Harris Sultan in the pinned comment below. It's time the world listens, not just with ears, but with action. Because silence, in the face of terror, is complicity.